The reason you've been feeling different from everyone around you lately isn't in your head. It's real, undeniably real, uncomfortably real, beautifully real. You've spent years trying to explain it to people who look at you with polite confusion, nodding, smiling, but never quite understanding. Years trying to squeeze yourself into spaces that reject you, like a body rejecting the wrong organ. Years wondering if something is wrong with you, because the life that seems to satisfy everyone else leaves you feeling hollow, disconnected, untouched. But there's something you need to hear, and not just hear, but let settle into your bones. Nothing is wrong with you. You were set apart deliberately, intentionally, by a force that saw who you would become before you ever took your first breath. The universe, working in perfect partnership with God's truth, did not make a mistake when it wired you differently. It did not slip when it gave you a sensitivity that feels like a curse in a world that praises numbness. It was not careless when it planted a knowing in your soul that has no rational explanation. It was not accidental when it marked you with a restlessness that refuses to let you settle for the life everyone else accepts without question. That wasn't randomness. That was selection. You are reading this right now because you've reached the point where you can finally hear what has always been true. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. Not for attention, not for applause, not for validation, but because the mission you're carrying requires someone who cannot be absorbed into the collective unconsciousness. It requires someone who stayed awake while everyone else sleepwalked through existence. Someone who asked questions when accepting easy answers would have been more comfortable. Someone who felt the weight of truth so heavily that pretending became physically impossible. That someone is you. It has always been you. Every moment you thought you were broken because you didn't fit in, you were actually being protected from becoming someone you would later have to painfully unbecome. God does not set people apart out of cruelty. He sets them apart out of purpose. The specific way you've been different, the exact struggles you've faced, the precise rejections you've endured, the particular pain you've carried, none of it was wasted. All of it has been shaping you into the only person who can do what you're here to do. You've watched people live surface-level lives and felt guilty for wanting more. You've questioned yourself for craving depth in a world satisfied with distraction. But that longing, that ache, that refusal to settle, that isn't greed. That isn't dissatisfaction. That is your soul remembering. You didn't come here for shallow existence. You came here for depth, for meaning, for impact that ripples far beyond your own lifetime. You were built for a different kind of life, the kind that requires someone who has been broken open enough to let the light in, someone who has been stripped down enough to know what actually matters, someone who has been isolated enough to develop an unshakable connection to something greater than human approval. And yes, it has been lonely, carrying a knowing no one around you seems to share, seeing patterns, connections, and truths others dismiss as overthinking, feeling called towards something you cannot yet name, pulled towards something you cannot yet see, shaped for something you cannot yet touch. But that loneliness was not abandonment. It was preparation, the truth you are meant to carry. The frequency God designed you to embody cannot be diluted by constant exposure to people who do not operate at that frequency. It had to be protected, cultivated, strengthened in solitude before it could be shared with the world. You have been set apart because what is coming through you is too important to be compromised by the need to fit in, too powerful to be watered down by people-pleasing, too necessary to be derailed by chasing validation from those who were never meant to understand your path. The universe and God did not set you apart to watch you struggle. They set you apart to watch you rise, to watch you step into the fullness of who you were created to be, to watch you embody a mission that only exists because you exist, to watch you become living proof that divine purpose is real, and that some souls are specifically designed to carry more light, more truth, more transformative power than the world knows what to do with. That is why it has been hard, not because you are cursed, but because you are being forged into someone who can withstand the weight of what you are about to carry. The criticism that tried to silence you, it strengthened your voice. The rejection that tried to break you, it taught you that your worth does not come from who accepts you. The isolation that tried to defeat you, It did not come to end you. It came to initiate you. It forced you inward, forced you into silence, forced you into long nights of questioning, wrestling, surrendering. It stripped away distractions. It removed the noise. It cut off the applause. And in that sacred quiet, when there was no one left to impress and nowhere left to run, you built something unshakable. You built a relationship with God, not the borrowed version, not the inherited beliefs, not the secondhand faith that depends on other people's approval. You built the kind that is forged in solitude, the kind that survives doubt, the kind that wrestles with heaven and refuses to let go without a blessing. You built a connection to universal truth so solid that nothing external, not rejection, not criticism, not misunderstanding, can dismantle it. You survived what was meant to prepare you, not destroy you. Read that again. You survived what was meant to prepare you, not destroy you. And now you're here, still standing, still seeking, still open. Reading these words and feeling them land somewhere deeper than logic, somewhere beneath intellect, somewhere beneath explanation. You feel it in your chest, in your spine, in the quiet space behind your thoughts. You recognize yourself in sentence after sentence, in a way that makes your eyes water. Because finally, someone is naming what you've been living. Finally, someone is articulating the ache you couldn't explain. Finally, someone is validating the difference you were taught to question. That recognition? It is confirmation, not coincidence, not emotional manipulation, not wishful thinking. Confirmation. Confirmation that you are exactly who this message is for. Confirmation that you have been set apart. Confirmation that your difference has never been a flaw to fix. It has been a calling to fulfill. Your sensitivity was not weakness. Your depth was not too much. Your restlessness was not instability. Your refusal to settle was not rebellion. It was assignment. God does not make mistakes, and the universe does not randomly assign hardship to souls for sport. There is intention in your journey. There is precision in your pain. There is architecture in your becoming. When you are chosen for the narrow path, the misunderstood road, the isolated preparation, the difficult refining, it is because what you are being prepared for requires strength that comfort could never produce. Comfort creates consumers. Refinement creates leaders. Isolation creates clarity. Pressure creates capacity. You were not set apart to be less. You were set apart to become more aligned with truth, even when truth costs you approval, more connected to purpose, even when purpose feels heavier than preference, more filled with the kind of presence that changes atmospheres without saying a word. You carry the kind of power that shifts paradigms, not because you are loud, but because you are aligned, not because you demand attention, but because you embody truth. And when someone fully surrenders to their divine design, something in the world recalibrates around them. The mission you carry may not be fully visible yet, but you feel it, don't you? That pull that won't go away. That quiet certainty that whispers, there is more. That sense that your life has a storyline, a sacred unfolding, bigger than routines, responsibilities, and survival. You feel that your existence is intentional. Trust that. Not someday when you have all the answers. Not someday when the fear disappears. Not someday when you finally feel qualified. Trust it now, while you are still becoming, while you are still healing, while you are still discovering the edges of your own capacity. Because the universe does not wait for confidence. It waits for alignment. And every struggle you have survived has been aligning you. Every heartbreak stripped away illusion. Every disappointment clarified your values. Every closed door redirected your path. Every season of silence strengthened your discernment. You have been calibrated, piece by piece, to the precise frequency required to fulfill what only you can fulfill. No one else has your exact story. No one else has your exact scars. No one else has your exact combination of insight, empathy, endurance, and fire. That is not accidental. You were set apart for this. For now, for this season, for what is unfolding behind the scenes even when you cannot see it. There is a revelation forming in your life and through your life that will one day make everything you endured make sense. Not in a shallow way, not in a cliche way, but in a way that is both beautiful and devastating. Beautiful because you will see the design. Devastating because you will realize how necessary the fire was. And when that moment comes, you will not resent the isolation. You will revere it. You will understand that it was the cocoon, not the coffin. So right now, do something. Not for me, not for an audience, not for validation. Do it for your own soul, for the truth that is knocking on the door of your awareness, asking to be let in fully. Write this: I was set apart for a divine purpose, and I'm ready to walk it. When you write those words, you are not manifesting fantasy. You are not pretending certainty. You are not performing spirituality. You are declaring alignment. You are speaking into your own consciousness what heaven has already spoken over you. You are stepping into agreement with the design that has been unfolding since before you had language for it. You are joining every other soul who felt different, who felt isolated, who felt called, and who finally decided to stop apologizing for their depth. Write it as a commitment. Write it as surrender. Write it as acceptance. Write it as the moment you stopped asking, "Why am I like this?" and started saying, "Thank God I am." Because this message did not find you randomly. The universe is precise. God is intentional. Messages like this do not land on closed hearts. They arrive at the exact moment readiness meets recognition. They reach souls who have been refined, souls who have been prepared, souls who carry something the world needs. Even if the world has not yet learned how to recognize it, you are that soul. You have always been that soul, and everything is beginning to shift, not because you are transforming into someone else, but because you are finally accepting who you have been all along. The version of you that felt different, that was the real you. The version of you that couldn't settle, that was the aligned you. The version of you that refused to numb out, that was the awakened you. You were set apart on purpose, for a purpose. And that purpose is not far away. It is not hidden from you. It is not waiting for a future version of you. It is already unfolding, closer than you think.